What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well. And yeah, let's get straight into this weekly review. Now, last week was an incredible week. We saw some very large expansion to the downside on dollar, and you can see it does look to me like we've had quite a big reversal, and this might be the move towards the low of the month, which is what I was mentioning at the very beginning of the year. So I'll make sure to link this video, but at the beginning of the year I made a video explaining how I'd expect January to close lower, purely based off seasonal tendencies, and after seeing the way that last week delivered, it looks like that's going to be the case this month as well. So we can take that into our stride as we move into the last week, and yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting rest of the month. So this week for high impact news, we have high impact news Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we have the Fed interest rate decision, and I didn't even realize Thursday and Friday. So we've got high impact news all week next week. So next week's going to be absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. So here we are on the monthly. And remember, we're drawing January into a close now. And it looks like it is going to be a down close candle after all. So if we drop down to the weekly, we can see how January is traded. So here's the first week of January. You can see we created the high, and now we've taken out the low of January, the low we had, and it looks like price is going to continue to deliver to the downside, which is completely fine. So after seeing the way that price is displaced, and I say displaced because it's very rare you get candles this large, and I'll show you what I mean. So if this is, where's January's opening? This is January's opening. But if you look at the size of this candle, it's very rare you have pure downwards price action like that. We haven't had that since November. So, and the fact that we're closing below these lows as well is saying quite a lot to me about how bearish we may actually be. So a few things I want to draw our attention to. We have a fair value gap right here that we haven't quite filled, and I am expecting us to trade through. And then in terms of where we're going to, the next point would be all the way down here. Now, obviously, price isn't going to get there straight away. It's not going to deliver there next week or anything. But this is the next weekly imbalance. That I can see price potentially trading down into, especially the way it's taking out these lows. Our more near-term targets would be this low, because this is south side liquidity, and it's significant because it's below a weekly low. And again, I do suggest you go watch the first video I uploaded this year. But if we go back up to the monthly, you'll know that I am pretty much aiming to see if price can... Wait, was it the monthly? Basically, I'm looking for price to trade down into this bullish order block on a 3-month term. So I'm looking for downwards price action. It's just I was waiting for that confirmation, and I do believe that last week gave us that change in the state of delivery. And we can see by how aggressive Monday traded, and then, the continuation for the rest of the week, and the fact that we're closing below these relative equal lows like such. So with that taken into account, what am I expecting? Well, if we want to see a down close week, that means that we want to see the high get created on Monday or Tuesday, ideally, and then we want to start to see price deliver down into some south side liquidity and to fill the imbalance. Obviously, that imbalance being our first priority. Now, what you'll find is I am ignoring this bullish order block, and that's because if we change the state of delivery, meaning that if we're looking for sell side and sell stops and looking for downwards price action, we should be able to ignore these bearish order blocks and treat them as price shouldn't find any struggle getting through them. Basically, we should be able to trade through them. So we want to see price make its way through it. We'll be paying close attention to that this week. But let's go to the daily, just because it's a little bit more clear. And you can see again, beautiful displacement. And now I'm simply looking at the breaker. So for example, we got a high, we got a low, and then we have this massive rally, and we got this placement. So I'm looking at this down close candle now, and this is the very highest I'd want to see price trade this week if we're to remain bearish. More specifically, I'm looking at the wicks, just because wicks are gaps too. So when price returns back into them, I'm expecting it to find resistance within it. So this is what I'll call this pretty much a breaker wick, and I'm happy for price to rally in there maybe Monday or Tuesday to create the high. But other than that, I want to see continued downwards pressure for us to start taking out some sell stops and getting towards our weekly target down here. So yeah, that's pretty much the highest I want to see price go. Again, let's go to the 4-hour, take a look, and you can see things like this. So look at this fair value gap. You see how we traded up to the 50% level and left it. As far as I'm concerned, this is classic price action. Price shouldn't need to go back above this high anymore. So again, that gives me confidence that when we do rally back into this range, we can start looking for shorting opportunities, assuming we can even get up there, with the expectation that price will attempt to try and trade down into this deep discount. Now, don't get me wrong, we do have a bullish order block. If we go back up to the daily, there is a bullish order block here. But remember, if we're bullish, price should pretty much ignore this bullish order block. So if anything, when I'm looking at these bullish order blocks on the downside, This is where I'm expecting there to be consolidation. However, I don't expect us to respect it. So I'm not expecting price to bounce off it. I'm expecting it to reach it, slow down, and then use it as resistance to continue lower. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grey it out, and then we can use this and anticipate consolidation. And when you have this, when price reaches these levels, it makes it easier for us to hold onto our position, because we anticipate that price will, redistribute at that point to continue lower. So we are going to drop down to the 1 hour to take a closer look. There's that high I was talking about that got ran, and that's very significant because, again, this is like a confirmation, and then this beautiful displacement. We have a bearish order block here. Again, I'm happy for price to rally. We have a nice premium fair value gap, but generally speaking, the way that price is breaking lower, any kind of rally, and I want it to be weak. I'm happy for us to fill this fair value gap, but generally speaking, the very highest realistically is going to be 50% off here. Any higher than that, and I will be a little bit suspicious. But the fact that we have a fair value gap inside that range is hinting to me that price may want to rally up into there. Another thing that I'm paying close attention to is this. This is a clear breaker. So we have a high, we have a low, we have a higher high, which took out this significant high, because remember we saw that on the daily. Walt's filling in a fair value gap, by the way, just to show you. So there's that, and then we have displacement, and then we wait for price to return back to the breaker. So this is the breaker low. So as price taps into this price level, as price trades into this level, and you know what, I'm even going to put an alert on, and I'm going to put be reaching breaker. If you join the Discord, when if this goes off, I'll make sure to remind the Discord. But as far as I'm concerned, if price taps into that, that's where I'd be wanting to look for a shorting opportunity, especially because it's coupled with a fair value gap right here as well. So this seems like don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be trading dollar, but in line with this, and when we get onto dollar, and when we get onto pound and euro, we should be able to find coherent, I think that's the right word, coherent PD arrays that should be in line with that to look for opportunities to go long on the pairs, of course. So let's get these dividers marked out. Where are we? Here's a Sunday opening price. We are gonna might as well mark out Friday, because Friday's lows are still significant to price, and if these lows stay intact moving into the new day, so moving into Monday and Tuesday, if these lows from Friday, because we made the low on a Friday last week, if these lows stay intact and we get to like Tuesday of next week, we have a very easy, so to speak, target for where price would want to draw to later in the week. So let's just get this marked out. Make sure to turn on post notification, guys. I'm going to be posting every day this week, and join the Discord, and also message me in the Discord. No one messages in there, which is funny. Let's make that, keep that like so. So at least now we know. Now we have, once that Sunday open happens, obviously I'll draw out the opening price, and then we'll be watching to see us rally above it Monday, Tuesday. Then we're looking for price to displace the downside for the rest of the week. That would be the ideal week. But remember, with everything going on, it's not that simple. But generally speaking, I've got my eyes very set on this level right here and this breaker block. So yeah, that's how I'm expecting dollar. And then, like I said, I want to see displacement. Then once it gets here, I'm expecting resistance, but I do want to see a continuation. And I'd like to think that these lows can get ran. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on dollar. What has kind of not upset me, but drove me insane, and I do still need to be considerate, is the fact that we didn't completely fill in this fair value gap. So if you've been watching me, you'll know I've been wanting to see this fair value gap get filled for the longest time now. But the way we've taken out this low, this low, and this low within 1 week so aggressively and closed below it, and it's the end of January when we expect, the low to be created based off the seasonal tendencies, which I spoke about in the video, which I've linked, which is on my first video of the year, posted on the 7th of Jan. Go check it out. Based off all that, price shouldn't be able to come back on itself. So there's a few confluences that are supporting the bias here. It's not complete. I'm not completely crazy, guys. I do have reasons. There is method to the madness, so to speak. So yeah, it's just a matter of seeing whether it delivers or not. So let's now head on to GBP USD. Now I have already done some markings on here. There's a certain area I'm paying very close attention to. But let's go to the weekly. see if I can talk about these. Okay, let's get rid of it all. So obviously, similarly, if we're expecting dollar to have a down close week, we want to see if pound can have an up close week, which means that pound should be able to make a low somewhere. Now we have a clear inversion fair value gap down here, but this is a great discount for pound. And I don't really expect pound to even get all the way down here anyway. There's things we can do. So if we look at the gap to where price closed, you know, really, I don't really want to see us drop any lower than this 50% level. And as we drop down to, say, the daily, we should be able to find PD arrays at that level. And you can see we're currently trading within an inversion fair value gap. So we have a bullish order block down here. But as I was saying, I don't expect price to reach all the way down there. And then we have an inversion fair value gap right here because we're closed above it. So now I'm watching that 50% level off it, which just happens to be where I was talking about here. So this is the very low, so I want to see price trade moving into the new week, assuming we're going to remain bullish. You should consistently see 50% levels being respected at the very most if we're bullish. Same as we're bearish. Same if we're bearish. You want to constantly see respect. So because it shows, it shows a level of willingness to go higher. So that's why I always bring our attention to these things. So I'm not going to bother draw out that just because I don't really see it as much relevancy right now. Let's go to the 4 hour and you'll see that lines up with voila, beautiful bullish order block. And again, another inversion fair value gap. If we draw this out, drag that through. When price comes down into this range, more specifically the bullish order block, I'd like to think it can find support and use this as what we call a propulsion block. Now, obviously, it needs to get there, but I'd like to think that the low could get created down here. So I'm happy for price to drop on pound, moving into Monday and Tuesday to create the low of the week. The Sunday opening price, which we've just had right here, is going to be very significant this week because I'm going to be paying close attention because as far as I'm concerned, we should be able to stay below it until Wednesday at the most before we start seeing price expand above it to go where? Up into our premium PD arrays, such as this swing high for buy-side liquidity. Now, if price is dropping and it keeps falling and we reach, remember this is the bullish order block. Let's say we reach the bullish order block and it keeps trading through it. If it breaks through the bullish order block, we're not bullish. If it breaks through the bullish order block, we're not bullish. As simple as that. So that's what's keeping me, regulated in my trading. As in, I'm gonna let it get here. We wait for price to come to us. We're like a tiger. We will let the prey come to us, and then when we're ready, we accumulate with the expectation that we can rally later on in the week and try and reach our targets. Here's our fair value gap up in the premium. We haven't quite reached that yet. So again, we might not hit this buy-side liquidity target next week, but we will at least, ideally, I'd like to think that we could at least get into this fair value gap. So there's premium PD arrays, and you can see how, price kind of hanging off the edge of the way we opened, But I'm expecting price to be able to drop down into this range. We have a breaker, low, high, low, low. From here, price does what? Rallies. So this is the original consolidation. It's classic for price to drop into it. It's even coupled with a 5-minute fair value gap, which is awfully convenient, isn't it? So that just happens to be perfectly lined up with. Ooh, now don't get me wrong. Price might not go here, guys. Perfectly lined up with the breaker high, low, high, the lowest low, and then we rallied. So this is the original consolidation. So it'd be nice to see if price can tap down into this 5-minute fair value gap, where I'd be looking for longs. And if price drops down into that, obviously I'll be watching dollar closely to see, okay, is it rallying into its, into its premium here. But don't get me wrong, this will be a very shallow high of the week. But looking at how bearish price is delivering, and it seems like we're in a bit of a rush, it wouldn't really surprise me, so to speak. So we are going to finish up on Euro USD now. We have similar price action. Let's go to the weekly. Same thing. If we're expecting a down close week on dollar, we want to see a what? Up close week on pound. Euro. Here's a fair value gap. So we've got a nice premium PD array to look forward to. And then we have bullish order block opening price right here. Why? 3 down close candles. We've closed above it. If price drops down into this level, it should act as a bullish order block. So let's get rid of this. We have a bullish order block open. I'd like that to create the low, very lowest. And then I want to see price be able to rally up into the premium. Let's go to the daily. And you can see that just happens to line up with a potential propulsion block. So again, similar to pound, we're happy for price to drop Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But if it touches it, I'm expecting it to be awfully sensitive to help us rally up into the premium, where we have some buy-side liquidity. Now, if we go down to the 4 hour, let's take a closer look. and you can see it's a little bit more higher resistance and very, very resistive. So we might find that euro's a little bit more time consuming down here, which isn't ideal. But similarly, we have a fair value gap lined up with a bullish order block in the discount. Now, again, it looks very shallow, and what I mean by shallow is that there's got to be a lot of movement on GBP to the downside for us to create a potential low if it's going to go all the way down here. But what we might find is that pound might not even get all the way down here. Euro might reach its discount. Dollar might reach its premium, and then it carries on trading, and then GBP is just 10 times stronger because it's failed to even reach the bullish order block. So there's things we've got like that we have to take into account, which is divergence. So those are things we can't exactly prepare for. But at least you know now when to look for divergence. I've just told you. You look for divergence when we're approaching significant PDRAs, such as where we expect price to turn. If price drops through it, we're probably not as bullish as we thought, and we need to reconsider our decisions and start looking at potential sell side liquidity, such as these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relative equal lows. Because don't get me wrong, price could easily come down here. It's just, I'm taking macro factors into account. I'm taking the dollar into account. I'm taking the seasonal tendencies mainly right now into account as to why I want to see some rallying on the currencies. So yeah, let's go to the 15-minute. And you see, this is what I mean by it's shallow. We're already working our way down. And don't get me wrong, it's not like lows can't get created on Monday. I'm pretty sure we saw a low get created on Monday last week. But my point is, where's the low last week? Monday. Yeah, no, the low got made on Tuesday. But my point is, it's not impossible for the low to get made, say, on Monday, and then we just see price make its way higher for the rest of the week. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn on post notifications because you don't want to be missing any videos this week. Yeah, don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, and yeah, and join the Discord as well. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.